Hello and welcome to Bloke on the Range. And it's not really up to us to discuss modern concealed carry because, here in Switzerland it's only available to people who have a need in their job, and we've got a couple of friends who have concealed carry permits, but us mere peons that can't justify it under the current policy, tough. And it's a very safe country anyway, so...
You might get some bad paper cuts in our jobs, I think. That's about the only risk.
Yeah, quite. And as far as the UK is concerned, basically... forget it. In principle, the facility exists in law, but it's been policy since the 50s not to issue permits for it. So, again, aside from sort of diplomats visiting servicemen, things like that, forget it. It's so minor, it just basically doesn't exist. Forget it. But in any case, today we can take a bit of a deep dive into the practicalities of a particularly narrow vein of historical carry, because it interests us. And it covers many periods, in fact. So, what you got there, Chappie?
Well, what I have here is the Mrs nice vintage Muff here. And for those who don't know what a Muff is, it's a simple textile tube with, typically, back in the day, genuine fur liner. And it was used as a hand warmer. Now, this one we think is from the 60s, because there was a sort of revival. So it actually has a very nice little pocket here to store other things, money, or in this case, maybe an extra mag. Anyway, these appeared around the 16th century. Actually, they were a unisex item, so gentlemen and ladies would be sporting these things. And they then became progressively a more ladies' accessory, and particularly if you look at sort of old Victorian postcards and things around Christmas time, they're all walking around with these kind of things. And so what do you reckon this one is? Beaver?
Rabbit, I think.
Rabbit, yeah. So seen some action, but
So originally, in the era that the Muff pistols started coming out, they were typically little single-shot flintlock pistols.
Yep, sort of probably about this big. Typically, they were box lock, so it was all in line. Unfortunately, you still had the frizzen, which is a bit of a problem when you're trying to draw it out. And actually, if you draw it out, it would tip the frizzen forward, and you'd lose your primer. And
or would you not go through?
That was the other. Yeah. Anyway, there's a bit of a danger of not being able to shoot your load.
Anyway, if I can just stop you there to be a bit tacky and lower the tone, and I'd just like to ask people to consider for a moment to subscribe to the channel if they haven't already done so. If they think they're subscribed, check it, because YouTube does that. Check that little bell has been rung. Give us a little tinkle there. Please like the video and lay down a nice fat salty comment below, because all the interaction helps to grow the channel, helps to get our videos promoted to other people, and it's in fact the biggest driver of traffic for us is people seeing the video on the front page of YouTube, and the more interaction, the more the algorithm likes it, and we'll put our stuff and nonsense.
It is true. Up. There is sometimes people that comment saying, "Hey, where is this video? Why haven't I seen it? I've been unsubscribed or something." So do check.
So in any case, moving on from flintlock, and I think we'll possibly come back to that in a minute, we need a little bit more history. I have a book, unfortunately I don't have it here, but there's a 1904 book by Walter Winans, who was an American living in the UK at the time, and he was one of the greatest Bisley revolver shots of his era. Very, very excellent competitor, won an awful lot of stuff. And in his book, which is called Hints on Revolver Shooting, he has a chapter on shooting for ladies, and there's a mention of muff pistols, and the ability to conceal a small double-action revolver in a muff that could be, in case of potential need, it could be discreetly held down by one side, because apparently it was common for a lady who didn't have both hands in her muff to carry it down by her side, and if she's gripping onto the butt of a pistol,
then again
inside
shoot through,
and then could shoot through like that. And to a modern audience, the idea that in a book intended for a British readership, that they'd be talking about self-defense with revolvers. This was a big thing, as I said, until the 50s. Concealed carry in the UK was a bigger thing, and particularly in the pre-First World War period. And there's an anecdote about Beatrix Potter, the children's author, who was staying at a country hotel in Yorkshire, and only one of the 8 or 9 male guests was not carrying a revolver. And there's a particular incident. Do you want to do the Tottenham outrage?
Yes, and there was a situation involving some rather rowdy Latvians attempting to do an armed robbery, and of course the policemen were intervening with their whistle and truncheon, but decided that perhaps being armed would be a good thing, and he just borrowed some firearms for some law-abiding citizens who were carrying for self-defence, and managed to get 4 firearms, and also, of course, the citizens
joined in the hue and cry.
Yeah, joined in and confronted these ruffians.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different place today.
Certainly is.
You got a licence for those scissors.
Oh, sorry, mate.
So anyway, we've got Mrs Chap's Muff right here in front of us, and we're going to see sort of look with stuff in our collections as to what might be realistic to use.
Yeah, the smallest, probably the smallest things we have which are sensible to carry.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't got a full-size auto out on the table because that's a bit silly. But we're just going to explore this topic a little bit. I mean, the first thing is flintlocks. I mean, you're a great flintlock and percussion aficionado. And, I mean, keeping a flintlock in here, as we mentioned, getting the frizzen caught on the inside fabric of your muff might end up spilling your priming powder out there.
Well, the thing is, it's got a tip.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too worried about setting fire because it's such a brief flash. But
if you're caught up, if the hammer caught up,
if the frizzen isn't open, it's not going to ignite. So I would expect that. I mean, some of them also you can't emphasise how tiny these things got. But it's really more of a sort of warning. Well, and scare people away.
As we've said in other videos, it's the pre-antibiotics era where where basically any hole's a goal, and
kill yourself shaving.
I got a paper cut and died. And there was some story about some American living in Cuba in the early 20th century, and his father licked an envelope, caught his lip, and then died of septicemia 3 weeks later or something. It was a terrible time. So people didn't change their clothes, people stank. I mean, any penetration of the body at all could result in
eventually
in an infection. So I think the sort of bravado that you see on actual live cop camera stuff now, where someone keeps coming when they're shot because they're up to the eyeballs in recreational pharmaceuticals, that wasn't a thing. There was rather more.
They weren't pharmaceuticals then. They were just
over the counter, and they were just the more basic stuff.
Yeah.
The other practicality I was thinking was once we upgrade to percussion, so the pistols look the same, and a lot of them would even have been converted to percussion. How'd you keep the percussion cap on?
I mean, usually you were just carrying it hammer down.
Oh, sorry, I've got modern ideas of safety in my head.
Yeah, hammer down on the little percussion nipple, and you just make sure you don't drop it.
Drop it or fiddle with it and flick it, or
I mean, assuming you don't carry the pistol loaded and forget once you get home, just slap it down, and shoot the cat or something.
Yeah.
So, but certainly in terms of function, I mean, the percussion cap is much easier. You don't have such a problem with the frizzen priming. You're good to go. And I guess that would be perfectly for a shoot through.
Well, a lot of these pistols keep turning up in places like the UK and in Europe. They'll often be hidden in books and people's bookcases and things, and they'll just turn up randomly. And the first thing you need to do if you ever come across one of these randomly is check it's loaded. Stick the ram rod down it, and if it goes dunk against hard metal, it's unloaded. If it goes bluff against lead or a wad, it's loaded. And these things turn up even on Antiques Roadshow on the TV back in the day. People would turn up some random muzzle-loading era pistol, and they'd check, and it'd be go. Yeah, this is loaded.
I've had two muzzle loaders I've had which have been loaded. Ooh. Well, one was loaded with, I guess, was some kind of blank. There was powder behind it, and then it was packed with some kind of gaffer tape or something, or some plastic. And the other one was just random rags and wadding and no powder in it. It took a day to get that stuff out.
Yeah. So Walter Winans, to get back to the plot a bit, Walter Winans recommended, again, if I remember rightly, sorry the book is not here, recommended small double action only revolvers, concealed hammer revolvers, so there'd be less to catch on.
Yep.
We don't have one, but we have a Belgian Bulldog here. This is this featured on some very early bloke on the range. It's one with a safety catch.
Very German.
Yeah. I mean, all of these are basically derivatives of the Webley Royal Irish Constabulary at various scales. This one's in 7.5 Swiss ordnance. So if I...
You see yourself wandering the streets like this?
Myself? My wife, who featured on early bloke on the range, I think she'd probably enjoy that. In fact, the fact that this has a nice... this has a nice inside curve to it, actually. They
are designed to be worn. I mean, they evolved, I'm guessing, probably from a straight tube, and then realised that, of course, you don't have your hands like this. You have them like that.
So, I will dry fire it. Yeah?
Yep.
I'm going to dry fire that one more. This is not a favoured dry firer. I mean, this one with the extra pouch, you could... I mean, it's not immediate access, but there's less risk of losing it, and you could get in. And this is probably the most of the era
appropriate, yes,
that we've got there. And I wonder actually if they weren't occasionally made with integral holsters. Do you just need some sort of little
side pocket inside?
Pocket inside to sort of retain it. But this isn't a very large revolver. It's not a tiny revolver.
It's not a tiny one, no. I'm assuming something like in 32 short or something.
Yeah,
a smaller one.
Well, a lot of the sort of Smith & Wessons and the Spanish copies, they were all 32 short, 32 Smith & Wesson long, various forms of short 38s, 380 corto and all of that. But do you want to have a fiddle in there? I mean, you could. That's doable.
That's doable
as a size. I think some sort of internal flange or something, just to hold the muzzle.
Remember to take your hand out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, drawing is...
I think you just push it through.
Yeah, because it is... I mean, this particular one is a bit tight at the bottom. But yeah, I think Winans correct. You would just...
Yeah. And probably push it through, because there's an awful lot of material on the inside that could get caught in your working parts, and particularly if it's hammered. But certainly, just to give an idea of the size here, certainly if you had some sort of flanged construction there, and maybe another one to support the bottom of the butt, or basically some sort of internal flap that you could then...
So you don't need to keep hold of it?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you do put it down somewhere...
Yeah, it's less likely to fall out.
But then people wouldn't be bothered if it fell out. No.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh yes, everyone's carrying...
oh, that's what you're carrying.
Potter.
Probably good.
So, moving up in size, here we have a Colt Police Positive. So not a Police Positive Special, it's got the shorter cylinder. And we have cleared these all beforehand. We don't feel obliged to show them to you, because you can't give us feedback in a timely manner, because you're seeing this weeks later. So this is kind of a bottom-end police revolver from the States. They were adopted. They were adopted by an awful lot of police forces in the States. They've got really tiny, skinny grips. They're very strange. And this one's in...
just fits.
38 Smith & Wesson. But you don't say that with a Colt revolver. It's marketing. Don't want to market for the opposition. I think this is getting a little bit on the big side. I think you're going to end up with a little end poking out. At an inopportune moment with something this big, because with a muff this size, my hand's too far back. Now this is too big. So if we go up to a 4-inch Model 15 K-frame, I think we can just forget it at this size. You're going to have a massive muff to... I can hardly even get it in there. This is too big for this muff.
Yeah, but I mean, there were various sizes. I mean...
Just imagine
You see, yeah.
Well, I mean,
so
you
see
need sheepskin or something. Just no.
You see the Victorian ones, and some of them are
Quite.
Well, you see, well, I suppose they were corseted then as well.
They were corseted and they were tiny compared to today.
They were sort of width of the body.
So I think we can rule out anything over a J-frame equivalent. I mean, this is J-frame equivalent, really. But of course, the period Winans was writing, the automatic pistol starts to become a thing. In fact, we have the first mass-produced practical automatic pistol
Very nice
here.
it is too.
Yeah, which was a nice find in a shop as a one to fill up a permit.
Yeah.
So FN 1900, which I mean they were so successful they were even adopted as officers' pistols in various militaries because well hey it's an automatic pistol. And they're certainly constructed with concealment in mind because there aren't many big.
Really, really flat. Yeah.
They're really quite flat and there's not many catchy bits. There's a little bit. There's a little bit of catchy bits there with the loaded chamber indicator and stuff, but they're not very catchy at all. Oh, what do you think? We've broken your wife's muff. I think it's possibly a little on the large side.
Yeah, you got the danger of the tip poking out when you don't want it to.
Yeah.
But
and I think philosophically...
sort of seeing if there's a pocket in the side.
I'm dubious. I mean, one issue there, I mean, it's... Most shooters at some point have had an empty case go down somewhere it shouldn't. And I suspect that if you let one loose in a muff like that, you're going to get the empty case, hot empty case in your skin.
All over the place inside, yeah.
FN 1910, which is a much more pockety.
Yeah.
But again, issued to army officers in certain militaries, which is quite amazing.
There's one opening is bigger than the other.
Oh.
I'm suspecting maybe there was a handedness about these. Perhaps. Because for me, left-handed, it would be easier. This opening here is bigger, because you're doing things, whereas your other hand holds and retains it. Anyway, I think it's about butt length. This one's got shorter.
Yeah.
Slightly, but even so, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I think. Which opening in this muff?
That one's smaller.
That is right. So I'm going to put it in the bigger one. It's falling apart, this thing.
Poor Wabbit.
Yeah, you could do that. In fact, you can get the ejection port on this one.
Yep.
Outside, but I think that would work. I mean, if we go down in size, what have we got here? We've got
the smallest,
which is smaller. We actually have a TPH, genuine TPH, and an Irma EP552S, which is like the poor man's TPH, and it runs better. It runs significantly better.
Yeah.
Interestingly, it's not actually a direct copy of the TPH. It's a parallel scaling down of the PPK. It's not quite the same, but it's a bit chunkier. It's a bit fatter. Let's try.
Lighter, yeah.
Let's just do the TPH. Taschenpistola Hahn. So, pocket pistol hammer.
With hammer on it.
It has a hammer.
Yep.
I think that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, get the ejection port. You can get the ejection port out to use it. I mean, I think if you've got an automatic pistol, you're going to have to work on the basis that you're going to have to get it out.
Yeah.
Because if it stays in, it's not going to function. Well, there's a TPH. It's probably not going to function anyway.
With Stinger and Mini Mag, it works fine.
Yeah. It's slightly chunkier cousin. I know there's too many protuberances on this. Yeah. No, I don't think it's worth going any further other than to show what these are. What's this one?
This one is a Star 1914 model. Shorter, so there's one of the many French emergency pistols of World War One. So this is the so-called officer model because it's got a 7-round shorter magazine. Actually, I find it far less accurate than the poor maligned Ruby.
Yeah.
The barrel's really long on it, so...
Yeah, forget it.
That one.
So Ruby.
Normal Ruby.
Which one's it?
Just normal. This one is a Izada, which is actually which means star because it was built by the same company.
And
then this is the last iteration of the ruby. This is a unique RR51, which is basically a snubby ruby, and it's got all the late, sort of more ergonomic. It's got a really annoying magazine safety.
big deep grip. I mean, the grip is, you almost want to hold it the wrong way around because all the weight's in the grip and the grip's longer than the slide.
So that's a nice little snubby one.
Yeah, I think that's...
But the trouble is with all of them, it's the grip.
It's the grip. It's the grip. So I think ultimately, I think Winans was probably right there. I mean, and then just handbag carrying, that changes. I mean, if you're just handbag carrying, then I mean, handbag. You
still got to pull it out.
Yeah, handbag carry is handbag carry. I think that's less whether it's handbag carry in your muff or handbag carry in a handbag. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same deal. So anyway,
stick with a small revolver then.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, this is all just totally irrelevant esoterica because, as we all know, CCWs for personal protection are no longer issued in the UK. They're not really much of a thing in Switzerland either. And in any case, such nice hairy muffs have gone out of fashion in favour of, well, gloves, really. So it's not really relevant anymore. But, I mean, in the UK, I mean, all you could do would be like hit someone with...
well, I suppose you could carry a spoon.
With a spoon.
Yeah.
Or roll up newspaper. That was official advice.
Really?
Yeah. Is there another option we could...
The only thing I can think of course, is just, pelting your enemy with ping pong balls.
Just befuddle them with a shower of ping pong balls.
That's it. Avast!
Anyway, so on that note, as the ping pong balls rattle around the stone floor, thank you so much for tolerating our stuff and nonsense here. Thank you so much for watching. Please, as we said before, like and subscribe to the channel, check the notification bell. Thank you so much to patrons who make this channel possible. There's a link will come up over the screen in a minute, and there's a link in the description below. So if you haven't already considered supporting us on Patreon, please consider doing so, and we'll see you again. Bye.
Bye.